Welcome to Sit Down Stand Up with John Malkin, the show where comedy meets conversation. Get ready for a ride full of laughs, stories from the stage, and possibly a few surprises. And now, here's your host, John Malkin.
We are live, more than just live. We are live in studio. I haven't had a studio guest since 1947. I think was the last time. But
long time.
I am so honored and privileged. First of all, my buddy, who is an unbelievable talent, actor, writer, comic.
It's too much.
It's too much.
Just too much.
World-renowned traveler, funny guy, teacher, mentor, Andrew Kennedy.
Fellow thespian. Thank you.
Thespian. Hello, Andrew Kennedy.
How are we, darlings?
We've been trying to get together since we both got off Grindr. No.
Yes, you're not supposed to talk about that out loud. That was a secret.
No, because you are a bit. First of all, you should be busy because you're so damn freaking funny, and you travel all over the world, and we'll get to that in a second.
Yeah.
But you do a lot of cruise ships, which is phenomenal.
Yeah.
And so it's just scheduling us to get together. We finally found some time.
It was a scheduling dilemma. And
Yes, it was.
Yes, it took about a year to figure it out.
It
I
did.
think you were as surprised as I was that I showed up here.
I was.
In the studio.
And
You're
still
like,
am.
I can't. I'm pinching myself.
I think you're actually AI right now.
Everything's AI.
Everything's AI.
My headshot.
Right.
Is actually a picture of me brushing my teeth. And AI turned it into a professional headshot.
No way.
Yes.
Seriously.
Ridiculous.
Now, those of you who are dyslexic, it's IA.
Yeah.
Everyone knows that. So, anyways, well, welcome to Sit Down Stand Up with John. I'm the host. I'm the host of the show.
I like the logo brought to you from Europe, I heard.
Yes.
On a ship.
I got that sign in England, and I believe it was shipped over on an iceberg. So,
that slowly melted, and it just was enough
just
to get
made
us
it
into
to Rhode
New York.
Island. Yes, exactly.
Okay,
Then I had to go get it. It would just wash ashore. So speaking of, let's talk about your bloodline, right? Because you've got a very interesting background. You do some great comedy on this too. I want to talk about that. But your bloodline,
I am.
You're not just your average white band.
White dude.
No.
I'm not your average white dude.
You're not the average white dude. You have some blood in you that's mixed.
It is.
Tell us about that bloodline.
Yes, I am half English, half Hispanic, and 1/16 black.
That's
wow,
right.
let's open the show with a big one.
Now, I noticed when you walked in, I saw the 116 black stand out immediately.
As I was pulling out of the bathroom, is that what happened?
That's right. I walked in, I'm like, damn.
It's so interesting because when I do tell audiences about that 1/16 black, that's where everybody goes. And I tell people, it's not like that. And I'm more of a grower than a shower, but I eventually arrive.
So how did you get this amalgam of blood in your system? Who's what and got who?
Very simple. My great-grandmother on my mother's side was half black.
Your great-grandmother
on my mother's side, who's Colombian, de Colombia, de la costa de Colombia.
Indeed.
Sí, which is the coast of Colombia.
Right.
So she had 3 kids, my mother being the whitest.
Wow, okay.
And then she married Casper the Friendly Ghost, my father from England, whitening down even more. And then having 3 kids, I'm the whitest of the 3 kids.
Is it? Are you the youngest? It just gets
I'm the
white.
middle.
Okay,
No, I'm
I was
the
saying
middle.
that the kids get whiter as they come out later on.
No. When you combine ethnicities, you literally don't know what you're
You
going to
don't
end up with. It's my younger brother looks like Ricky Martin, and we're related.
Really?
Same parents.
So he got the looks.
Yes. And then my older brother got the Schwanzstücke. But he got my mother's height. She's 5'2", so it's a give and take.
Oh, so you have a teeny little brother.
He's short.
He's a short guy.
Yes.
The guy. So, but you do a lot of, but I guess you identified more yourself as Latino.
I grew up in South America. I grew up in Colombia, Puerto Rico, Venezuela, and then I moved to Hong Kong and then moved to the States when I was 13.
Why were you so mobile? Was your dad's job?
My father got fired a lot is the joke. But
he worked at a Starbucks.
I think he was part of SIS. I think he was secret intelligence, a British operative.
He was MI5 or
MI6, whatever
Really?
they are. I never had that final conversation, but I'm like,
because he couldn't tell you?
What's the deal, Dad? Well, son, I'll tell you.
Right. Like
he was a worshipful master for many lodges. So wherever we were, he was in the Masonic Lodge.
Really?
And he was worshipful master a few times, which sounds kind of strange.
Worshipful master.
That's what they do it.
I learned that on Grindr.
You and Grindr. I remember the joke about Grindr when it first came out was for gay men to find each other, right?
Yeah, right.
By location. And if you were in rural areas, Bill is 10.5 miles away from you. But then if you're in metropolitan areas, like in New York, Bill is standing behind you at Starbucks. You are copulating as we speak.
Wait, did you maybe find out your dad was in this British Secret Service when like you were writing a school assignment with your pen and you actually jabbed yourself and you passed out for like a week?
Yeah, it could be. It could have happened. Yes, I'm like, one of those devices.
So you really have no idea what your dad did?
No, my dad worked for Sylvania GTE, and
okay.
he just didn't play the business game the way people that climbed the ladder would.
What was he, like a rogue?
He was.
He
what
literally
he
got
was,
fired.
He called bullshit to their face.
He did.
Like he didn't play the game.
But British people don't do that.
It does, but he was logical and he knew the rules and he went by them. So in Hong Kong, for example,
Right.
they were given a memorandum not to give the companies that produce the light bulbs in Sylvania and Singapore and Malaysia money. They didn't want to grease the wheels by giving them money to get the companies to produce these light bulbs. So he was asked to do that, and he said, I refuse. We were specifically asked not to do that any longer.
Right.
And the boss told him to do it. And then my dad's like, well, if you put it in writing, then I'll do it. So you can't do that.
That's right.
You're going to get fired.
Your Honor. Your Honor. It's right here. Wow.
So they just slow rolled him to the headquarters in Stamford, Connecticut. And that's how we moved to the States for the very first time from Hong Kong. I was 13 years old. And we moved to New Canaan, Connecticut, the whitest town on the planet in 1980. I was the black kid at Sachs Middle School.
You were the black kid
because I was half not white.
You're half. Now, did you came to New Canaan, one of the whitest communities, I believe, in the world, speaking pretty fluent Spanish?
Very fluent Spanish. Yes.
And so
better Spanish than the Spanish teacher,
who was
Senora Greenberg.
Yes, you. First of all, Andrew is one of the funniest guys you've got to check. So, first of all, where can people find your material online?
So, okay, Instagram. I started it a fresh account 2 months ago. I have about 700 followers so far.
Sweet.
But it's growing.
Yes, indeed.
And I have a Comedy Central special and Dry Bar special. I just didn't do the social media.
Yeah.
So Andrew Kennedy Live, Andrew Kennedy Comic is Instagram, and my website is andrewkennedylive.com.
Okay. So when you go on and find your material, you've got this incredible bit about the Spanish teacher. I'm assuming that's in New Canaan.
In New Canaan, Connecticut, yes.
Who's because you came from Spanish teachers who were named like Juan Valdez or whatever like it is. And
Juanita
Valdez. And now the Spanish teacher is named Mrs.
Senora Greenberg, and she's telling kids that red in Spanish is rojo. Can you say rojo? It's red in Espanol.
She was basically correcting the Spanish kid.
She corrected the Spanish Mexican kid on the pronunciation of his own name.
No.
Yes, during roll call, she's like, "Donde está Miguel Vasquez? Miguel Vasquez, donde está?" And he's like, "Pues, señora Greenberg, me llamo Miguel Vasquez. ¿Qué? ¿Cómo se escribe? Vasqu. Okay. Okay, señora Greenberg, me llamo Miguel Vasquez. Muy bien, una A.
Well, I'm assuming you got an A in that class because you were probably like running circles around this. You're probably teaching her stuff.
I just tried to keep a low profile.
Oh my God!
Try not to get in trouble, which I did constantly.
That's so funny. And you and part of your comedy, because you do have these phenomenal bits. And we'll talk about your cruise ship material because you are a extremely successful comic, and you literally travel all over the world. And they stick you, and it sounds like a god-awful gig, but they stick you on these incredible cruise ships, traveling all over the world,
passenger
doing
status,
comedy.
Ocean view rooms.
Oh my gosh!
You're a passenger on a ship, and then you got to punch in for 45 minutes here and there.
Okay, so quick question:
Crazy.
Who do we sleep with to get that job?
Well, my wife. I sleep with my wife to get that job. Yes,
that's
the one
a great
and only.
gig.
So they saw my Comedy Central special.
Yes,
and it started with NCL. And they saw my Comedy Central special, which was recorded a long time ago.
Yeah, when did you do that?
2006, 2007.
Okay, because the Comedy Central special that you did, it turned out to be one of the most successful comedy special.
They had a competition.
Yeah.
where it was like the Comedy Showdown.
Right.
And I was in the top 20 twice, but they only did that for a couple of years. They don't do that anymore.
Okay.
So people could vote for it. So yeah, that's pretty good. But they've got so many great specials, and now everybody's got specials.
I know.
And
Now, where did you tape your comedy? Where did you tape that special?
the Hudson Theater in New York City.
Oh, wow. That's a big room.
It's a big room, beautiful room. Yes. Yeah. And my accountant was there.
Your accountant?
Yes.
Wait, you have an accountant?
We have an entertainment lawyer / accountant.
Okay.
Yes.
I want an accountant.
Yeah, Harvey Altman. If you ever want great accounting for entertainers, Harvey Altman.
Harvey Altman, the accountant.
And he cares about the CBS.
He does.
He really did support us all.
So he didn't steal your money.
No, he found money. In fact, when I got the development deal with CBS.
Yes, which we're going to talk about too.
Okay.
Boy, you're not name dropping. You're dropping.
He helped me out because we had a family accountant, and he found like $36,000 when he did it.
Oh my God. Wow.
Because with a development deal, they gave you a lot of money.
Yeah. All right. So you have this comedy. So I mean, this is incredible. So then you developed. You wrote and you starred in.
So I wrote with, but I didn't co-create it.
Okay.
It was created by Eileen Gordon and Andy Kahn. Andy Gordon and Eileen Kahn.
Okay.
It's been so long, I forgot the names.
But this was a pilot for CBS.
Yes, Rita Moreno played my mother. John Ratzenberger was my father-in-law.
From Cheers.
Yes, Julia Duffy.
Cliff. Julia Duffy.
From the Dick Van Dyke Show.
From the Dick Van Dyke Show.
Millie from the Dick from. What? No. Julia Duffy was Bob Newhart.
Yes.
Ann Gilbert was Dick Van Dyke. She was Millie and Dick Van Dyke. She stole the show.
Oh my gosh.
The episode is still online. The entire episode.
Seriously. So it never turned into a series.
It never did.
What happened?
Everybody Loves Raymond went for its final season, and the Eye of Sauron went to New Candy the next year. I didn't move to LA like other people would have. So the light shines brightly for a second and then moves on, and then I didn't follow up by going to LA and doing the thing.
Right.
Life is a journey. Things happen for a reason. I would have never met my wife.
How did you meet your wife?
On Tinder.
Believe it or not. On Grindr.
Not Grindr. It was so here's the deal.
Her name is Max.
I'm traveling. Her name is Siri, and so I travel so much and I have 3 kids that when I was home, I didn't have time to go to the bars to look for things because I wanted to spend time with my kids.
Right.
So I thought, let's do the apps. And there were different apps. And on that one, we matched up. You swipe right, left, whatever. We matched up, and then we texted back and forth.
What year is this?
Text. This was 2016.
Oh, so you have? Oh, wow. Okay, very cool.
It's been a while now.
Yeah.
We just celebrated our 6th-year anniversary.
Happy anniversary.
On the first date, we found out that we both knew very important people in both our lives.
Really?
So she turns out to be my best friend's younger brother's best friend's ex-girlfriend. Rich Amatuli, if you're listening.
Wow.
So
there's some wow.
Yet we had never met.
I mean, just to get to that.
So I mentioned his name for some reason, and she's, wait a minute, Rich Amatuli from New Canaan? Yeah. I dated Kaz, who was Chris Amatuli's best friend.
Oh my gosh.
So, and yet we had never met. She graduated from New Canaan High School, yet we had never met. Our birthdays are 4 days apart.
So you were in the same grade together?
No, that's the part that makes you understand why we never met.
Okay.
When I was a senior in high school, she was 7. We weren't going to meet. So
you're older
she's
than
11 years younger than me.
Oh, I got it. Okay.
I am 11 years her superior, her senior.
I got
So
it.
yeah,
Okay.
so Chris was
Unless
much
she was
younger.
Doogie Howser, she would have been a senior.
Chris was much younger than Rich.
Got it.
They had Rich, John, and many years later they had
Got it.
Christopher.
Wow. Very cool. So there's a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
You had a lot in common.
Yes.
So all right. So I want to beat this TV thing up there. So you do this pilot. You film the pilot.
Yes.
CBS. Because I'm a writer. I've written some screenplays. I've written TV. So I kind of dipped my toes in the business, and it's awful.
There are so many shows that could have been the next Cheers, next everybody, and
so many people on the payroll that they just keep on
for whatever reason. It just doesn't go. It doesn't move forward, and that used to happen most of them would fail.
Oh,
And that was
totally.
back when they gave development deals. I don't even think they do that anymore.
I think they cut back a lot of
I
money.
mean,
They
Montreal
just-
Comedy Festival is no more. Who would have ever thought that? I have to look at the camera to acknowledge the fact that the Montreal Comedy Festival went bankrupt. The
because
best festival because apparently people were just not coming anymore. I guess I don't know.
that's a bummer.
It is a bummer.
Yeah. Now, do you do? I mean, do you? And I want to talk about your comedy too, because your comedy is absolutely brilliant, and you're a phenomenal visual storyteller too. So you bring people, you enrapture people. I've loved using that
let
word.
me write that one down.
Enrapture.
ChatGPT, add enrapture to
It's
my
a song.
bio.
It's a song by Blondie. Enrapture.
So that's what she's saying.
That's what she's
I
saying.
always thought it was just rapture.
No,
not
no, it's in rapture. Yes, she's getting into it.
mind blown.
But you bring people in. You bring us into your life story.
I
Like when you're
do.
talking, and you're very visual.
storyteller, yes.
You're a storyteller, and it's phenomenal. And you're a very warm storyteller. You're just not telling the story. You're actually like bringing people in. Like I'm living.
Yeah.
I'm your best friend's ex-girlfriend's younger
Yeah.
brother's. That whole thing. I'm in your life.
You're into it, yes.
I'm into it.
Yes.
Yes. I want to
like,
know what happens.
I paint the picture. For
You
example,
paint it.
when I talk about my father's enormous Schwanzstücke, because he British, not a big man. He just had a huge one. Huge. I got a glancing blow, but I didn't get the staff of
Did
knowledge.
they call him the human tripod by chance?
So it was just weird because you just didn't expect it from this non-athletic man. We
was
lost
British.
every father, son, anything we ever did. We'll get them next time. No, we won't, Dad. But he just had a huge dick. It's just huge. And when he broke his hip,
yeah.
and I tell this story at the adult shows, he was rehabbing in Fairfield, Connecticut, and a West African nurse,
Oh boy.
painting the picture, a West African nurse
Yes.
is sponge bathing my British father and
Yes.
says to him, "Is your penis always this large?" I'm not kidding. And he didn't know what to say. He's like, I just couldn't think fast enough. I should have told her, well, if you don't stop fiddling with it, it will get larger. But I'm just not quick like that.
The blood is escaping from my head.
And so what happened was that to him, it broke the stereotype he'd always had of West African men because she seemed so impressed by it. And I'm like, no, Dad, you're not getting what happened. She's just never seen that big of a one on a white dude. That's what threw her. West African men show up to dates with their own creams. I have brought an assortment of creams. They are for your protection. Do not be alarmed. Please apply them with generosity. Do not miss any nook or cranny. You shall begin to feel some pressure. This is completely normal. Sorry. You got me going.
That's good. Is your dad still around?
If you experience heartburn, Unkoku has gone too far.
She's like hitting the beep, beep, beep,
Yeah.
beep, 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 beep. Is your dad still around?
No, he's not.
Oh, man.
Rest in peace.
Did they have to, does his casket like have a big like triangle that
Enough time has
points up?
passed that I can talk about it, but when he was getting old,
Right.
and he sometimes needed some help showering. I remember in our house in Southbury, Connecticut, my mother and I are both, helping him get showered, and I
Right.
kept thinking to myself, what a fucking loss.
Oh, yeah.
It's just such a huge dick. I'm like, it's going to be gone. That's what I meant. Like, aside from the fact that my father, and I think about him every day,
Sure.
but I'm like, God dang it, that's a big dick.
It was huge.
Are
was
we
huge.
allowed to swear? Are we dumping out of stuff?
Oh no.
We're good.
Oh yeah. No, it's
And
this is the dirty show.
and so this is the dirty show. And so my older brother got the gift, and my mother's side, and my second born got all of it. You
now,
know?
did your short brother get the gift?
The short brother, yes.
So he literally could lean and still stand
So
up.
get this. Let's describe my older brother.
Yeah.
I love dearly. Back in the day,
And he's 5'2", you said.
5'2",
he's
in
teeny.
heels.
And
He's a 5 foot tall ex-gay Catholic, well, still gay, but ex-Catholic school teacher and cheerleading coach who was dating a clown named Charlie. At one point,
Wow.
he was all of those things.
Oh, my God.
He's still gay.
so is he ex because he's gay?
No, he's
I mean,
just
they-
retired, but he was
Okay, did
dating
they-
a clown named Charlie. Like, come on.
A clown named Charlie.
Really gifted juggler. Could juggle a ton of balls. And that's not even what I mean. I mean, like, he was...
I'll bet he
No,
can.
like, juggle like 7 balls in the air. Like, in the air.
So
like,
that's
really good.
That's 3.5 men.
Everybody reacts that way, but he could. You know how difficult it is. Like anything past 5 is great, and I think he could do 7.
Wow.
In the air.
That's amazing.
It's insane.
Wait,
Ringling Brothers, Barnum and Bailey, like really good.
Did he
Cirque du
hide?
Soleil.
Did he hide his homosexuality while he was a Catholic school teacher?
You know, he didn't talk about it, but he was an amazing teacher,
Right.
and that's not why he got let go. He didn't. He just he taught at the school for 25 years,
Wow.
and then he retired, and he's living his best life.
Oh, bet.
right now, yeah.
Yeah.
So
I
it's
bet.
great.
Good for him. Living off
Yeah.
the teacher's pension and
Teacher's pension,
he's still
absolutely.
with the clown?
No, he's no longer with Charlie.
He's no longer with the juggler.
Oh,
He's someone else.
Poor
is juggling the
Charlie.
balls. Poor Charlie, the clown.
you're an awful man. To give him the if God, what's his name, Slugworth wants it, he can have it.
Slugworth. that's
Charlie.
right. Charlie.
You
I got the golden
did it.
ticket.
Good boy.
I've got the golden ticket.
That Gene Wilder, my favorite comedic actor
man.
ever.
Right?
Yes.
Right.
Wrong, sir. Wrong. In a contract signed by you, it states quite clearly that I, the undersigned, shall relinquish all rights, privileges, and licenses here contained, etc., etc. Fax mentis incendia chloroculpum. You get nothing. You lose.
I said good day, sir. I love that
you're
one.
in
I said good day, sir. That's good, man. Do you do Gene Wilder? Because that's a good Gene Wilder.
You know, never in the shows, but I should do it.
Well, you think people will recognize
Maybe
it?
not anymore.
I know.
It's like doing Jimmy Stewart now. Who's that? What are you doing? What are you doing?
So you,
You're a big fella.
we got to get to the cruise ship because this is going to be a long show. I'm gonna normally do half an hour, but we're going.
Let's bring in the liquor in 45 minutes.
We're going 4.5 days.
Let's do it.
We're going 9.5 weeks.
It only took a year to get me on here. Yeah.
No, I'm not letting you go. We're going to
that's
edit this
good.
into like
Yes.
16 shows. So on the cruise ship, how
Yes.
did you? So you're on these cruise ships for sometimes like 2 weeks, right?
Sometimes even longer.
Oh,
Sometimes
my
3
gosh.
weeks. 1 week, 10 days, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and then I'm home for a week, 10 days. You know, so I'm on a cruise ship 26 weeks out of the year.
That's a lot of
It
travel.
is a lot.
I mean, but you're not performing the entire time,
No,
too.
but
So,
I want to. So I'm
sure.
telling my manager, agent, second father, Tom Ingenio from Omnipop Talent Group East, to get me into the ships that have their own comedy clubs, because then you do 2
So
shows
you're not
a night.
sharing. You're not sharing the stage.
No,
with
you
the-
are. You're sharing, but
oh.
you're doing multiple shows a night the whole week, as opposed to doing the big theater where you're right.
That's where
They
you're sharing it
fly
with
me
the-
in
with
for
the
a week,
juggler
and I'm
and
doing
the-
nothing.
Right.
No, they'll always give me my own show. I'll do my own show. I'll have my own main stage show, but
Right,
it's
right.
1 or 2 nights in a week.
Right.
And the rest of the time, I'm
You're
like
idle.
doing nothing.
Oh, my gosh.
So I'm figuring out, especially now with social media,
Right.
that the great way to get interaction with the audience
Right.
is if I'm doing multiple shows a night in these comedy clubs. And what they'll do is they'll have 2 headliners, and we each do 20 minutes,
Got it.
2 times a night, and then they'll have us in the big theater on one night.
So then you could perform every night.
every night, and it can
Because
be
then it's
different.
a, then
and
it's
then
a
you can
dedicated
write.
comedy club.
It's a dedicated.
That's what I meant.
as
So
a-
that
as
so
opposed to
the
the first night.
juggler and the French mime are not going to be on the comedy club stage.
And those aren't on the ships as much. It's usually production shows.
Okay.
Then you'll have singers.
like singers and dancers.
And dancers,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then singers on their own right, like a John
Yeah.
Legend concert, an Adele concert, or a violinist, or somebody that
wow.
a piano player, and then magicians.
a lot of magicians.
Yep, a few
Because
hypnotists.
it's an older audience, right? On the
no,
cruise ship.
it depends. It's young and old.
It's young
but
and
I mean, and so it depends.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I get it. So
I'll
you
normally do, like, if I'm on NCL, I'll do a welcome aboard 20-minute set.
okay.
Then I'll do
like right
two-
there in the lobby.
No, in the theater.
Oh, in the theater. I got it. So
Nothing's
I
in the
know.
lobby.
When you say welcome aboard, you're like, hello.
It's the first show of the evening.
First
where
show of the
people
night.
are
I got it.
exhausted. They
Got
put
it.
they introduce like the higher staff,
Okay.
the management, and then they give you the comic that's going to do 25 minutes,
I got
and
it.
then prepares them for my main stage show.
Okay.
Later on in the week, 2 45-minute sets, and then I'll do like a late night adult set on the last night of the cruise. Or
So when you say
something like
adult
that.
set, that's really go a little
Rated
dirtier.
R, yes.
Rated R. Okay. So the other shows, you got to be clean.
You have to be completely clean,
No
but
swear.
not geared to the kids, because
Right,
my
right.
comedy never is.
Right.
But they can
You're
be
not
there.
dropping F-bombs. And,
Yeah, but they can be there, but it's not for the kids. But they laugh when I do the voices, but
Right.
it's not for the kids.
I got it. I mean, you enjoy it, right?
I love it.
You love it.
I do.
Now, are you writing all the time?
I'm writing I'm writing all the time. I should be writing more, but I am.
Because you do a lot. I mean, you're performing a lot, and you're doing a lot of shows.
Yes.
So do you use these? I want to talk about I love talking to the comics on my show about. I want to talk about how you got into it, which we'll finish up the cruise ship.
Okay.
And then
I am not looking at the camera at all. I'm totally.
We'll dock, and then we'll get off the ship. But
Yes.
but you just have a lot of shows and a lot of material. So do you try out new material on these ships?
Sure.
Or okay, you do.
Especially when it's the comedy club. But when you're doing the main stage, you
wanna go
don't
with
try
tried
so
and
much
true.
because,
Right.
again, in comedy, and you're a comedian now because you're doing sets in the city and you're doing other stuff.
Sets in the city.
You're only as funnier. You're only as funny as your last set. Have you figured that one out?
Yes, your last joke.
Your last whatever
Yeah.
you did last.
Right.
And you'll wear that until the dirtiness is washed away with an amazing set. And it's so interesting, but we all take it personally. So, and also every show, in this cancel culture, you could lose your job over some stupid comment that you
just
make.
say,
You just tweak it the wrong way.
Right.
But the
It's
audiences
un-PC.
don't want it. And I
Right.
talked to them about it. I talked to them about the PC thing.
Right.
Like the story that I tell of doing a corporate gig, and I was going to be performing in front of 1,200 people after they served dessert.
Right. Of
Dessert
course.
came out. I wanted a cup of coffee to get some energy, and I asked one of the waitresses if I may have a cup of coffee. She said, "How do you take it?" And I said, "Black, please."
Like your men.
I didn't say the men thing. I might have thought it. I said, "Black, please." And she looked at me distressed.
Because you wanted your coffee. Well, what were you supposed
Because
to
you're
say?
supposed to say
no
plain.
milk?
Oh, plain.
Are
Can you believe it?
No.
Your shirt, sir, is plain. It's not black. When my kids were little, I drove a plain Nissan Quest.
That can't be right.
What kind of dog do you have? He, him, his is a plain lab. Like, are you kidding me?
Wait, so she reported you?
So she didn't report me, but she told me that I was saying it wrong.
were racist?
It was yes. I was. It was like
no.
it's not like I said black, please. Like my man, how you doing?
Right.
Amazing, great. How sweet the sound. That would have been racist. In Spanish,
No, I don't think so.
In Spanish, you say negro. You call it negro in Spanish.
Right.
Black.
Right.
Or tinto, which literally
Right.
means colored.
Right.
You don't say, dame una taza de café sin leche o azúcar, por favor.
Right.
Una taza de café sin leche o azúcar, por favor, because they'll say negro. No, plain. It's stupid.
man.
It's a color. Come on.
So she
You're a
called-
millennial, but please, right?
So
Can you
she
say
call-
black coffee?
She called you out.
She called me out like we were in Clinton. Don't ask, don't tell, and I told oh no, we say play now.
So you for a second there, you probably were like, oh my God, she could run to management.
I didn't even care about her running to management. I cared that this was a thing now.
And that's a thing.
This is the thing
But
that
that's-
she
like you
felt
said-
so uncomfortable that she had to hold my hand and tell me, Master, we say play now. Don't say black.
But to your point though, there's that brief moment where all of a sudden you get a call to the principal's office and someone's accusing you of
but people aren't dealing with that anymore. The people you can tell when somebody's being racist because it's in the intent.
Right.
You know it, I know it, you know it. It's in
Right.
the intent.
Right.
So if we cannot get to a point where we can acknowledge our differences and laugh at them without being canceled, what's
Right.
the point? You water it down, you water your comedy down to that point, it sucks.
It does suck.
It's not funny. You're supposed to shock
No.
and enlighten and
Right.
get people to go, "Oh, he said that? That's funny."
Right.
That's
So do you even avoid that in the dirty shows too? I mean,
No, in the dirty shows I'll address it.
Okay.
And they'll come along.
but you could do, since you're Latino, you could do self-deprecating humor based on your own lineage and things like that.
Yeah, I have the right.
You have
even
the
though
right.
The way I look like this, and
Right.
I'm 1/16 black.
You can go there.
But then again,
I
you
know.
know where it's coming from, and I
know.
try to address it with audiences and go, look at the white people looking around to the black people in the audience to see if it's okay, and who's laughing the loudest? The black people are laughing the loudest.
Right.
My
Right.
favorite audience is a mix of all ethnicities and cultures.
Right.
Indians love me, and I do so many Indian accents.
Right.
And I did the joke that you wrote. You wrote a very funny joke about the spelling bee.
The National Spelling Bee.
And
Do they love that?
they do, but they also can get offended.
I'm sure it's an offensive joke. It's very offensive.
I do now this bit about an impression of an IT guy now, just getting upset. Please turn the computer on. Please don't touch the mouse. Don't touch. I asked you. I had to please don't touch it. Please don't touch the mouse. Why you not listen to me? Why, Prakash, don't put the cookies down. Dinesh, no. Please listen to me. And it's funny. But people can get offended. Guess who comes up to me after my shows?
The Indian folks.
The Indian people, because they know it's funny.
Right. I tell
the ones that get offended when I talk about Chinese women can't drive. I'm kidding. I don't do that. But that's a stereotype. I try to say stereotypes are started and are founded because of certain traits and characteristics that happen within a group.
Right.
And over the numbers, you come to think everybody's like Chinese women can't drive. I'm sure there's plenty of Chinese women that are handy behind the wheel. But if you put a group
just
of 10,
7, actually, there's just 7 of them.
If you just put 10 Chinese women and group them with 10 ladies from the Tacoma Rotary Club and sent them off on their own, chances are there'll be more in the 10 Chinese women accidentally cutting people off more.
Yes.
They don't mean it.
Right.
It just stereotypes are they start from truths, and you can't obviously say everybody's like that.
When you say that, there was a way back when I was in Chicago. I was at a private. It was like this pro-am thing, and then there was a dinner, and George Carlin was the performer, and he came and it was phenomenal. It was a Meritech, which is a phone company, which is no longer Meritech, in the Midwest, and the woman who was booking the entertainment. We were playing golf that day, and she's like, "Oh yeah, George Carlin's entertainer," and this is the seniors tour, so the average age is like 112, right? Wow. And I said, and I have a whole story I do about George Carlin and all that, but I was like, "Have you ever seen George Carlin? His humor? Oh, I heard it's funny. I've never, there's no internet back then, so you can't like go on YouTube and I'm like, okay. So I call my wife. I'm like, hey, you should, you should come to dinner. George Carlin's coming. So she got dressed on. She comes to the dinner. And again, we're in this dining room at this beautiful hotel, and it's probably like 150 really old. They all got the silver hair. They're all executives from Ameritech, and they all phone people. God. They're just stodgy and old, And then the chairman gets, well, thank you. It's good to be here. The shareholders, all that. And then the woman comes out and is like, I'd like to introduce George Carlin, And so Carlin walks out, right? And they probably paid him like $100,000 to show up and all that. He walks out. And he looks around for like a minute just doing this. And I lean over to my wife and I go, uh-oh. And his first joke was about all the ways to say vagina.
Oh, that's
He was just going, you probably prepaid me, and I'm just going deep. So,
oh, God. Because he hated the audience. He hated them.
Dead silence.
Yeah.
And then he gets into the black jokes. And my wife and I, the only 4 black people in the whole room are sitting at our table.
Yeah.
They're laughing the loudest.
Of course they're laughing.
And I'm like, thank God. So then I'm laughing. I'm like, hey, no one else is laughing. And then he's like, Carlin does his 20 minutes and drops the mic and goes, good night. And walks out. And you hear this.
Yeah.
But you're right, man.
Usually I find that the quieter the audience, and if it's a white audience, the quieter they are when I get into sensitive material.
Yes.
The more internally racist they are. I'll call them out.
Right.
Because you're feeling, oh, this is, oh my goodness, is he saying this out loud? I can't believe it.
Right. But one comment you made, because all the comics who are listening right now, and we will post this show, and it's just going to be viewed by billions. But how now you've been doing stand-up forever, right? For many years, and we met because Andrew was my stand-up comedy teacher.
One of the 3.
Yes. With Gene Motz.
Michael Mose Palazza.
Yes.
So funny. His name is Motz right on my phone, and I can't get Siri to say Motz. She goes,
Mose.
Calling Mose. So now the ongoing jokes, hello, Mose.
Who's also one of the funniest guys.
Oh, he's hysterical. I just saw him last night.
Oh my God, he's so funny. But so and I've been doing a lot of the New York City clubs, and which is great because you start getting a little reputation. I just got a call the other week, last week from Gotham. And he's like, he's bringing me on a Saturday night. And it's like, well, fantastic. But to your point,
moving on up.
moving on to the east
This
side.
is how it works. You show your face.
Right.
You do well. They ask you back for a better night.
That's exactly
a
right.
better night. And then maybe you'll get a chance to be at a club where they won't pay you, but they'll have you actually be in a real show.
I'll be in a real show.
And you could have the check spot or something like that, which is the difficult spot in comedy.
Right.
But then that's how you end up moving.
You just
and then
go through the system.
Keep doing it. You're funny. I mean, you are. And there are a lot of students that have come through that are doing stuff.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. No, you guys are really good.
Yeah.
And it's not like you write stuff for us, but you help shape and guide us and things like that.
And we tell you what might not work or
might not exactly
what
or how to work on things.
Yeah, we haven't had a session in a long time.
Really?
Yeah, it's been a while, so I don't know when the next one will be.
It was the Intentional Comedy Workshop. Yeah.
Yes.
It's fantastic. And it was at the Stress Factory in Bridgeport.
Yep.
Which is a great club.
It
but
is.
to your point, so 2 weeks ago, so I've been, always trying to get my I'm still at 5 minutes. You're at 45 minutes to like a 3-day gig. I'm still at 5, maybe
keep
7.
on doing it.
But trying to get that tight 5.
Yeah.
And and I was at the Broadway Comedy Club I guess last week, and I had a plum spot, and it was like a 7 o'clock on a Friday night, so it's a packed house.
Yep.
And I started, and I'm getting close to tightening my 5, and and I was trying, and I brought a couple jokes out that I used to tell like a year ago.
Oops.
Yeah, that was my bones.
The faux pas. Don't move the mic like that.
Don't move the mic. So I shaped this 5 minutes. It was the best set I've had, like in the 3 years I've been doing stand-up.
Great.
And to your point, I'm doing a show Thursday night. It's a competition in also New York City.
Yep.
I'm taking that 5.
Yep.
And I'm just freaking rinse and repeat.
Yes.
Like, why
absolutely.
rewrite the reel? I
Absolutely.
I got a couple things to make it a little even tighter, but to your point, if it works, why fix it? Why break it? No.
And when you start, when you get on stage, connect with the audience before you get into your material with just 1 or 2 sentences. And every time it's got to be different.
Yes.
Don't say the same thing you did that time that you had the great set.
Right.
It's got to be in the moment.
Right.
So whatever's happening, and that launches you into an organic, performance that's for that night.
Yes.
So don't try to do and replicate everything exactly how you did, because it's a different audience.
You know what else really? Now we're talking comic talk.
Yeah.
What I found is that I opened up with a joke that I thought was really funny. It was a little bit, I don't say dirty, but it's not like the
risque.
It's a little risque and all that, but it was funny, and the crowd went crazy. And boy, did that lift me up, because once you got them and they think you're funny, and you only got like another 4.5 minutes to go, maybe 4 when you're doing your intro.
It's all downhill.
It's all downhill from there. But then you got them, and then they give you the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
And they're like, even though it may not be the funniest thing you're saying, but and they were laughing all 5 minutes
Once they're
long.
with you,
yes.
The biggest advice, once they're with you, then you can do so much more, and they'll respond to everything.
That's right.
They first have to connect and like you. They have to like you.
That's you. And
if they don't like you, then it doesn't matter. And we've all been there.
I've been there. I did a show at the Stress Factory, and I came up with all this new material. The audience was just it wasn't happening.
Didn't connect.
And I walked off stage, and I'm like, my God, what happened? And you and Mose said they, and you didn't mean
Mose,
it personally.
if you're listening, I love you.
But you both said to me, they didn't like you. And I didn't take it personally.
Like no, that's it.
Yeah.
They have to like you.
Yes.
So before they start laughing. So the interesting thing is, if you can set in your mind to make them feel like you're not trying to make them laugh, that's the best way.
Right.
You're not trying to make them laugh. They're just going to laugh because it's funny.
It's funny.
But the minute they think you need them to laugh, then you're putting the onus on your, how funny are you? Do we want to laugh? Don't we?
That's right.
Don't give them a chance to choose to laugh or not. Just share your story.
That's right.
Share your bits.
Right.
And again, get on stage with whatever is in your head for that moment, and then you get into your material. You got to walk in and shuffle it. All of a sudden, he's actually doing material. He's telling jokes, but
he's telling jokes.
They don't know that. They don't feel that. It's a conversation. It really is a conversation.
Right. And I emulate you. I mean, because I do. I watch your material and all that. But you're a great storyteller. You're a visual storyteller. And we're both kind of physical people, right? We talk with our
Yeah.
hands and we talk with our bodies and all that. So we're not like, like Jim Gaffigan, who's like one of the best in the world, is not your physical storyteller.
No,
like
but he's just a brilliant
Sebastian
writer.
Maniscalco.
Yeah.
Brilliant visual storyteller, right? I mean, two very different storytellers.
Very different, yes.
But I like kind of getting into the, I mean, I'm not like,
Well, you get
around.
into the excitement of, the irony of whatever you're talking about, like the Cars for Kids, right? Cars for Kids. That bit, to me, still is one of the funniest bits. How they came up with that concept and what the pitch would be for that.
Right.
And I hope you still do it.
I haven't done it in a while because it's a long joke. That would take like 5 minutes.
Once you get in, once you build your set, then you can throw that in as a, you know, how things get pitched. Like, how do you end up with these 5 kids dressed in Argyle sweaters,
right,
not playing instruments?
That's right.
And then at the end, the key. Oh, and spell it incorrectly
with a K.
Spell it. How you're trying to move your product. Yeah, you're trying to get them to dial the phone and spell it incorrectly.
Right.
It was brilliant.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah.
And there's and I want to talk about how you got into comedy. But are you like I saw this interview with Jerry Seinfeld on YouTube. He wasn't in my house, but he was talking about. And he's like, yeah, I just spoke to Chris Rock last night. And Chris did some show, and they were both talking about how they are still trying to perfect jokes that they've been telling literally for 10 years.
Sure.
Do you find that there's some material, some jokes that you are literally still, maybe you're kind of dusting off going like, I'm going to retweak it and all that, and just trying to get it perfect. And I get it. But I mean, do you find that?
Because I'm not a writer like that, I think it all in my head, and then I just do it on stage, and then I just remember how it is.
Got it.
And that's my way of doing it. But
right.
I should sit at a computer and write.
Got it.
So I haven't tweaked stuff, even though it really is important. Exactly the choice of words and what goes in front of the other.
Right.
I mean, to make it perfect.
Right.
But I've extended stuff, and that comes from improv.
Right.
Where you heighten and extend.
Right.
In comedy, and you've got your bit, and then you're in the flow, and something comes up to you,
right,
and you just say it.
That's
another thing. If you have a moment of brilliance on stage, but it's not exactly how the script is,
just do it.
Don't walk away from it.
Do it.
Don't pause. Don't think about it.
Just do it.
The minute you think it's the time and it's funny, say it.
Just say it.
The minute you hesitate and then do it, you've lost the timing. So
the pregnant pause kills the joke.
Yeah. And it's okay to pause, but if you know when you're in the flow and something comes into your head, wouldn't that be ridiculous? Just do it.
Just do it.
Yeah.
But one of the and maybe and they didn't talk about the type of joke they were saying, but maybe it's like self-deprecating things about you're talking about your family and things that maybe that's like the Cars for Kids joke, which I haven't told in a while, but I've rewritten like 5 times. When I do tell it again, I've actually rewritten the entire kind of the foundation for the joke about who is pitching the joke.
Yeah.
Which I think is so. I mean, it is something that.
So what have you changed? What is it? What do you do?
Well, before it was like this real kind of like like I was thinking like it's like some friggin' naive intern. It's like his first day on the job. The guy walks in, he's like, you, what do you do? I'm an intern. All right, what do you do? And the guy's like, okay, all right, and so he's just ignorant and naive, and the guy just and he knows it's stupid because he has no idea what he's doing, and the guy's like, that's brilliant, you know. So he kind of juxtaposed the idiocy versus the brilliance.
Yep.
But the guy who's saying he's brilliant looks more idiotic, and the guy's like, really?
What do you do now, or is that how you do it now?
I haven't done it in a while, but when I do it, but that's I think. But
the trick of all of them is to shorten the setup. Shorten the setup and get into it.
Right.
Like it's a stupid commercial. Who thought of this? I wonder what the pitch meeting must have been like.
And just go right into it.
Harold, what do you got?
Right.
I got this.
Right.
Just get into it without
all the setup.
Trying to do too much setup.
Right.
Just get into it.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. So how did you get into? How did you start doing stand up?
So
because you're a very funny guy. Were you like a class clown?
I was a class clown, and getting in trouble. So I didn't know when to stop. So it got to the point where you were funny, and then I was annoying. Yeah.
So you instinctually always kind of knew what comedy was and how to make people laugh and blah blah blah.
I did. I was always the clown. I was always seeking attention.
Did you set out to be a comic? I mean, like
No, I first. It's so weird because I did Grease the musical at Norwalk Community College.
you were Danny Zuko.
I was Kinnicky.
Kinnicky.
Yes,
you
I
look
was
like a
Kinnicky.
Kinnicky.
Well, it was the callbacks, and I
Yeah.
stole the part from the director's son.
So
He
you're
was
the guy that
cast
went.
as Kinnicky.
No, you
Kinnicky.
drive. You drive.
And so and it was just a great experience. And then the story that I tell people is that I kind of fell smitten with a dancer, and I wanted to like see how I could perform by myself.
Oh.
And then the joke is that Danny Zuko was in love with me, but he now confessed that he was in love with another guy. So it ruins the joke. It was funnier when he was in love with me, but he wasn't. No, it was another guy.
That's good.
And then she was in love with Danny Zuko. So so that's the story. So, and I went to college, I got a degree, and then I started a lawn mowing business. How Hispanic of me.
But
And I could have built an empire.
1/16 of it was what?
No, yeah. I could have built an empire because I could hire the people in the fall to help me, and I could speak to them in their language, in their
Right.
native tongue. Hey,
So
how you doing?
you started your own business.
Started
Landscaping.
my own business.
Wow.
Lawn mowing, cut and mow and blow, kind of, and snow
Cut and blow.
shovel,
Yeah.
snow plow.
Yeah.
And then when I would be depositing the checks in the bank, I would love to, because I was single and young, and make the lovely bank ladies laugh.
Wow.
So I'd make them laugh, and they're like, "Oh, you're so funny. You're so funny." So then I got it in my head, maybe I should try this.
Okay.
And at the original,
No, when was this? What year was this?
this was
about?
1994
Okay.
in Westport, Porky Monero's, in the basement. Johnny Rizzo was the host,
Johnny Rizzo.
and he introduced me as he moved the lips for Mr. Ed. He totally killed me in the intro because I'm a plea. I'm a nothing. Who's this guy?
Oh my God.
That's comedian, really funny guy. You're gonna love him, and he just killed me. And then I did my set, and I love Johnny Rizzo. I've always thought he's
Irish.
He's hysterical.
Right? He's Irish.
Yeah, Rizzo. He's Irish Italian.
Johnny Rizzo.
Johnny
He was
Rizzo.
also in Greece.
Hilarious comic. He's performing.
Wasn't Rizzo the girlfriend of Kinnicky?
Rizzo was the girlfriend? Yes.
Yeah.
But he's been he's a legend, Connecticut legend.
Is that right?
Johnny Rizzo,
He's
absolutely.
still performing to this day?
Still performing to this day.
Okay.
And I forget where he's performing, but he's been posting it
Okay.
online. And so anyway, so then I had my best friend Rich Amatulli was there, and I did my set. People laughed, and it was uncomfortable a little bit. People laughed,
Right.
And that's what I held on to. And I said to him, that was the scariest thing I've ever done. And I said, I never want to do that again. And then that's the only thing I wanted to do.
Is that right?
And then it moved to Isaac Street. The treehouse was right here in Isaac Street.
Which is we're on
Right
Isaac
where
Street.
you guys are.
Oh my God.
In fact, where I parked, and I'm hopefully not towed, was where I would park.
Oh my gosh.
And that's how I started, in Isaac Street on Wednesday nights.
Just doing open mics.
Open mic night.
Oh my gosh.
Primo Rivera and Jim Gaffigan was making a name for himself, so he would be there on the weekends, but he was still not the name he is now.
Because he moved from Indiana to New York to try and be a comic.
Yeah,
So
he would be the headliner
Oh my
at the
gosh.
Treehouse on the weekends. Ray Romano would be the headliner. So here's the thing. This is John Schuler, who would book the City Steam in Hartford,
Okay.
that I considered my home club.
Right.
I love City Steam. It's closed now. And he said of me, Ray Romano went from middling to a TV sensation overnight.
Wow. It was that quick.
That quick. And I went from opening to headlining. So that was the joke. I went from opening to headlining overnight, but I would have much rather ended up being a television star.
Syndication makes a little bit more money than
please.
headlining.
I am famous. I don't need to do this.
Yeah. Wow. That's a great story. So you kind of, I mean, your story arc and comedy,
Yes.
it was pretty rapid.
It was not bad. I went from opening to headlining relatively fast, but then the Montreal people didn't want me.
Why?
The new faces every year, the thing you wanted to be in was new faces.
Right.
And that's where all the development deals went from.
Interesting.
And then I tried so many times, and then they had this new thing called Masters, where it's people that have been overlooked
Okay.
but deserve a chance.
Okay.
And Christopher Titus was hosting it up in Montreal. And we did 2 shows, the early show and the late show. And at that time, I was in the cellar I was doing the Strip, Gotham, the Cellar, Stand Up New York. I was doing 6 and 7 spots on a Friday, 6 and 7 spots on a Saturday.
Wow.
Just all over New York.
You just do a 7 o'clock, then go to another club, do an
just
8 o'clock?
drive around.
Boom.
Yes, there was one night where Robin Williams was performing at the Cellar, and I followed Robin Williams.
How'd that go?
You know what? I did.
You held your own.
I held my own. They didn't forget they just saw Robin Williams, but Keith Robinson, who was the MC, thought it'd be funny to then introduce me as another special guest. Eddie Murphy. He introduces me as Eddie Murphy because that's a Keith Robinson who's hilarious, by the way.
That's so
funny guy, but he really wanted to fuck me. He's like, got another funny guest, Eddie Murphy. And I'm like, you motherfucker.
And you walked out on stage.
And I walked out on stage, you motherfucker.
Now, did you play off that joke?
I had to address it. I don't know what I did or what I said, but I got them to love me.
Good for you.
But they didn't forget that Robin Williams had just got on stage, and he was such a nice guy. And I had the chance to just walk away. I was going to be almost late for another spot, and if he'd gone another minute or 2 longer, I couldn't make it. But he got off stage, and I could have tucked my tail in between my legs. So it was a moment a defining moment in comedy for me because I didn't.
That's awesome.
I took it in the ass, and I got on stage, and I just did it. And it went well.
God, that's amazing. So you shared the stage with some incredible people.
A few.
Yeah. I mean, Gaffigan, Robin Williams.
Williams.
Ray Romano.
Ray Romano.
Yeah.
Who else?
And they were...
Dave Chappelle, Dave Attell.
Oh, wow.
And then people that you don't know so well that are phenomenal comics. Rich Voss. Okay. Who at that time was the king, and he's touring everywhere. Right. Now, Tom Papa.
Oh, yeah,
Tom Papa, had just met his girlfriend. Oh, now, who he's now married to. Tom Cotter.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
Who got married to, Carrie Louise. And we've been friends and maintained friends all these years. Interesting Tom Cotter story. Okay. There was a moment where I was going to quit comedy and go full-time in the fire department. I was a volunteer firefighter.
Really?
Yep. And he...
Why were you thinking of quitting comedy?
Because I really liked the fire department, and you could.
But it's volunteer.
But I could go. I was going to go paid.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was.
The money was that good in comedy.
You idiot, John.
I make more volunteering than I do in stand-up comedy.
The reason I wanted it was because I liked it so much.
Right.
And my then father-in-law was the fire chief of the Reading Fire Department.
Oh, no way. Okay.
Yeah, it was a big thing, and so it was exciting. And he said, if you stop comedy, you're an asshole.
But why? Because you just liked fire?
I did. I thought. I didn't get the show. It didn't happen.
Right.
I'm gonna just pick my shit up and pick up my toys and go home.
Was that must have been a letdown when the show didn't get picked up?
Everybody thought it would. I lived with my 2 kids at the time because Kira hadn't been born yet.
Right.
In Los Angeles. Right. In a hotel paid for by Sony Studios. I was at the Sony lot. There was a star with my name on it. John Ratzenberger was parked behind me.
Oh, my God.
They had tours through the untitled Andrew Kennedy Project before they knew the title of it. So I was there at the set, looking at the set, and there was a tour. This is the untitled Andrew Kennedy So I thought everybody thought it was going to happen, and I never turned. So that's another thing that I can hold my head high because entertainers, there's 2 kinds. The ones that turn into dicks.
Right.
And the ones that appreciate the luck of being in this position.
Right.
I appreciated it.
Right.
I knew that it was, thank God. But everything it should have gone and it just didn't. And they stayed. The execs stayed during the 4-hour taping. It was a killer. You can watch it online.
What's it called?
It's called Related by Marriage.
Related by Marriage.
But you can only see it if you find the link. And to find the link, you've got to go to my website, AndrewKennedyLive.com, and look in the videos, and you can find the Related by Marriage.
I'm going to check it out.
Thing, but it's on YouTube
with Rita Moreno
John Ratzenberger, and even still today, it can hold. Like you think they should have ordered 13 episodes of this puppy, and for a couple years afterwards, that was the story. Caroline Ray
Yeah.
who I saw at the comic strip said, "Oh, you're in. Oh, yeah, I heard about that one." Everybody knew it was
Everyone
a fucking like,
Right.
you know. But then again, life's a journey. Things happen for a reason.
Right.
You know, it had to go the way it did.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm earning a living doing this.
yeah,
and I love it.
And you're having fun.
And I'm having fun.
Yeah.
But I'm starting to push the social media thing.
Yes.
So at Andrew Kennedy Comic, if anybody's interested, and it seems to be
picking up.
gravitating.
Well, you started at 0 not that long ago. Now you're over 700.
700,
So
and
it's picking
so
up.
next time I do a big cruise ship that has its own club, I'll be able to post more things, because every
Right.
time I'm posting things,
Oh, for sure.
it just
right?
starts bouncing.
I mean, people
up.
are on the cruise ship. They
Yeah,
go back to
I'll
their
get 100
rooms
100 new followers from a cruise ship.
Totally.
Easily.
Good for you, man.
Which is, but I'm starting so late. I need to get it.
I know. It's just it's
It's
called,
like with my accountant, Lou Alfaro. I'm going to give you a shout out, Lou. If you need a great accountant, Lou Alfaro. So I started my Roth IRA like 2 years ago.
I don't have one. So
And he shared with me a funny comic, like a Doonesbury thing, where a guy shows up at 67 to his accountant with $400, and he's like, "Okay, hit it out of the park for me, will you?"
let's
You're
work on that retirement.
67 years old, sir. With 400, it's not going to happen. Okay, go for it, Lou. Do it.
Invested wisely. That's right.
No errors, you know.
Oh man. It was. Oh my God.
So we're joking about like if we could invent a time machine and go back to the Apple people in the garage.
I know, right?
And throw $400 then.
$400.
What would that be worth now, right?
God, can you imagine that? I mean, probably there was a point when like Amazon was selling. It was like a penny stock.
With Bezos and what? I mean, what brilliance!
I know.
But it doesn't happen overnight. You've got to freaking
He was
fight
selling
for it
books out of his garage
and never stopped for years. I mean, so he earned that.
Oh yeah. No, I don't.
And
slight
if
him
he
for
didn't
it.
know how to do it himself, he found the people that knew how to write the software.
code
And
and everything, yeah.
same thing with the Apple guy, with Steve Jobs. He didn't know what to do, but he
No.
knew how
He
to
was more
put
a
people together.
marketer. Yeah. He got the
okay,
right-
do this.
Right. He got the flux.
And with Jeff
capacitor people
Bezos, it was no. I need people to be able to just click a button and buy it.
and buy a book.
It's impossible. We can't do
Yeah.
it. You got to do it. Make it so that they can do it.
Yeah.
And now what do we do? And that's where it's all moving to. I'm because I travel so much. I don't know if you do this, but I just don't go to stores anymore.
No.
I literally
We buy
if it's
everything
going to
on
be
it.
for free
I
and I
know.
can get it
I know.
at the same price or less.
And you get
That's
it like
it.
the next day.
And
a lot of
unfortunately,
times.
all the stores are closing, and now it's going to be. That's what the future is going to
I
hold.
know. It's just it's so easy. I mean, I feel bad. And I like to shop local as much as I can. But man, when you're like, buying just something that you're like, you just go. And then if you like search, like, I want to buy something, Amazon comes up first, like, okay.
You don't even have to pick Amazon. Google
just-
how to buy this, and
I
it's on
know.
Amazon for.
I know.
It's bad. And then you go into the mom and pop like hardware stores and you got the older guys like, well, you don't want to use that washer. What you really need, young punk, is this. And you miss that. But they're gonna be gone.
I went to the hardware store literally this past weekend, and I had to buy like a washer, and it was like 14 cents, And I felt it's like here, keep the change, He was gonna give me change.
Hey, no, hang out here. Let's ring a bell. We got John Malkin buying a washer. Then you go to Home Depot, and these people don't even know what they're doing. You ask for help,
not
and they're
a clue.
looking on their phones. They're like, I could have done that. You're Googling it?
They have
Thank
no
you.
idea.
I don't. Then that's okay. I'll
It's
Google
one
it
of the
myself.
Worst experiences. I know. I literally go to Home Depot. I actually apply for a job because I could learn more when I apply for a job. They will tell me about the store versus the people who work there, and then I will quit.
There's nothing wrong with good, hard blue collar work. I'm still a casual
Agreed.
at FedEx from the before time.
From
Before time
COVID.
from COVID, as an entertainer, I stopped doing shows for 15 months.
Yeah, because they were gone.
They were gone. And I had a deal. I was a spokesperson for Cons Home Plus. It was almost like $100,000 a year deal.
Oh, man.
And they folded up.
That's a
because-
mattress place.
No, that
No.
was like think PC Richards and
okay.
and like a
furniture
huge
and-
furniture store.
Got it.
Bob's and PC Richards had a baby.
Got it.
and that was a store. They were their own bank too, so they would do deals
man.
for you, and they would
Right.
they'd get you with the percentages, but you could buy it everything for $2 today. $2. And I was a spokesperson, and then COVID killed that deal. And they were going to renew it for a 4th year. And so
Are they still around?
no, they actually declared for bankruptcy, and I joke
Did too
about
many
that they got rid of the red suit. I was the guy breaking through walls before Gronkowski did it
Yes.
for NFL.
Yes, and you're that commercial that you did is on your website.
It is. I did 16 commercials, 8 in Spanish and 8 in English. I got the job. This is a great story. Okay. So my agent, it's the end of the day, and my agent receives a breakdown where they're looking for an actor/comedian that can do that can play this character in both English and Spanish. And this is where my agent, Tom, I love you for it, because this was a good gig. He called them directly. I got the guy. He's half Colombian. He's half English. You don't have to hire a different guy. He can do the 8 in Spanish and do the 8 in English. You just have to hire one guy. The same guy. He loves the red suit, and he said he'd go through a brick wall, no problem.
Yeah.
And that's how. And they found me, right?
So
and they couldn't believe they found me.
Right.
So they went looking for 2 months anyway, and they circled back to me. But that was the one time, and then the CBS pilot. So we're hoping one of the Omnipoppers breaks through that ceiling.
Yes.
Like Kamala, break through that
Yes.
ceiling.
And you're back on the high seas again.
Royal Caribbean. I'm going to do a Royal Caribbean ship, starting Saturday.
Do you get seasick at all?
Not at all.
Really? I
No.
get seasick just I say
I
the word
went on a
seasick.
ship, Hurricane Irene, which was it was a doozy one.
Yeah.
So that was we were sailing back to New York. And I hopped on when they had already sailed up through it. And there were people with their bags going across, Midtown.
White as ghosts.
Well, they were black the people that I mentioned.
That's how bad
they
it
were
was.
they were like,
white.
I'm never doing another cruise ever free.
Can you imagine that?
And I thought it's hysterical.
I can't even imagine.
And that's the ship I'm signing on.
Oh, perfect.
So the curtains are swinging left and right. 30, huge.
Oh, man.
We can't do the juggler today, Andrew. Can you do the comedy show?
You're not juggling chainsaws today, buddy.
No.
Man, that's a great gig though. Man.
Yeah, it's a great gig.
Good for
it
you.
really is.
That's
I love doing it, and I brought my wife,
Yes, you get to bring
Rebecca
your
Ann. She's a
family.
NICU nurse at St. Vincent's.
Love it.
And she started a nonprofit with another nurse and the head doctor there,
Okay.
Arvind Bundu.
Arvind Bundu.
But he's French. He's from Mauritius, and they speak French in Mauritius. And so they started this nonprofit, saving babies' lives in Mauritius, and raised a lot of money and saved kids. And it's pretty cool. She won the Florence Nightingale Award in nursing.
Really?
So yes, and again,
Wow.
I wouldn't have met her had not everything been just the way it is.
Wow.
And I wouldn't, I had to meet my first wife to create these 3 amazing kids.
Yes.
So everything happens for a reason. And
no
life
doubt,
is just,
right?
sometimes you figure it out, sometimes you don't.
So you and I share a lot of similarities because we've only known each other a few years now, I guess, right?
Couple years.
We bonded from
Immediately, if not sooner.
We were lovers. But your energy, I love. I worked for Fox for many years and all that, and the guy who was my boss was a guy named Roger Ailes who founded Fox News Channel.
Oh yeah, I know the name. I've heard of him.
You've heard of him. He passed away several years ago. But he used to say something that I was on the senior staff, so there was like 20 of us sat around the table every Tuesday, and anyways. But he would say something, he obviously very insightful about politics, but he said something that sticks to me to this day is that negative people suck the energy right out of the room.
Yeah.
And to be in the room with a person with positive energy is just like infectious.
Yeah.
And thankfully, when I walked in
You
there,
are the same.
that's
You
where
are the
you and I have a
same.
lot of common.
From
And
the
you and
same-
Motts and Gene.
And Motts, Gene.
Oh my God. The energy
Gene,
was just.
Motts and I, the original founders of the Intentional Company.
Yes.
Shout out to all of you. Gene, if you're listening, love you. She's moving to Scotland.
She's going to Scotland.
She's going to Scotland. She found her
Lover.
her husband to be.
Yes.
And he's great.
Yes.
And Louis.
We're gonna
King
miss her.
Louis. Yeah, we're gonna miss
her.
her. But she's like, I'm getting out while we can.
Yeah.
She literally, she doesn't like what's happening. She doesn't like the way the world
posts,
is.
yes,
and the way that it's not good.
Yeah.
And so,
but I love being in the room with you because your energy is infectious,
Thank you.
And that's why people, when they see you on stage, there's nothing better than seeing someone who's infected. No, I'm kidding. Someone.
I've been infected twice, and I got the injection and all.
But your positive energy.
You
is
have
just,
to be because you know it's how you organize your mind really, and we all can feel differently from time to
10 years
time.
to our lives.
Yeah, and I'm
it
50.
will.
I'll be 57 this year, but I don't feel it other than my hip. The hip, it's going out. I can still be sexually active, thank God, but I can't get the corner in like I used to. I can't corner it.
I can't back up the car.
Listen, I am gonna have to. We're gonna come back and do this again.
We'll do this again. We're going to wrap up the show,
Yes.
and I've got one last piece of the show
Please,
for you before
yes.
you go. Because
I will
then we
not
have
go
to
before
because
that.
we've been here for 3 days right now. We have one last bit of the show. It's
Yes.
actually the name of the show. This bit was named by Gene, called Repeat Offender. So I'm going to ask you.
Really?
I'm going to ask
Okay.
you 5
Oh,
questions. First thing that comes to your mind. All right.
Jeez.
All right. Don't overthink it, because that's what us comics do.
I know.
Okay. If you could invite anyone over to your house for dinner, dead or alive, who'd it be?
Elvis Presley.
Elvis
That's it.
Presley.
It's got to be Elvis.
Elvis, bring it on. A lot to talk about.
It would be Elvis. As a kid, that's all I wanted.
A lot to talk about.
And then I was in Malaysia, dove into a pool in Malaysia,
Yeah.
chipped my tooth, and I'm like, no, I can't be Elvis. So as a kid,
All right, question number 2, Elvis. If you could tour with any comic, dead or alive, who are you touring with?
dead or alive.
Dead or alive.
Oh my God.
Anyone you want.
This is a
Mons.
dead or alive. I've toured with him
I
already.
know,
We have
he's
toured.
amazing.
You know what? Before the bad stuff, it might have been Bill Cosby. But now I know that he's
When he was doing the
bad.
Jell-O pudding?
He's bad. Oh, the kid got to the Jell-O pudding. Why don't you come have a drink? George Carlin. I think George Carlin would be it.
Right?
Yeah.
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 Just to spend time.
Just to spend time listening to him and
right? Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. Okay, question 3, and then we're going to get you out of here after 2 more after this. If you were a ghost, who'd you spend the most time haunting?
Wow. Haunting. That means that you've got somebody that you're holding a grudge, and I don't, man.
Anyone? Well, it doesn't have to be someone you know.
but
It could
how-
be someone that you just hate in life, like anyone. It could be dead or
Dead or alive.
anything.
Hitler. I'd
Hitler
hunt
would-
Hitler.
Hitler-
I'd hunt Hitler.
Okay.
Yeah.
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 If you find
That
him,
piece of shit.
that piece of shite. All right. 2 more questions. If a genie gave you one wish, what would you wish for?
A really long life.
The CBS pilot.
The CBS pilot turned into a multi-billion-dollar with John. All right. So Henry Goodman played my dad, and he did a brilliant job.
Henry Goodman.
Henry Goodman is a West End actor.
Okay.
He's phenomenal.
All right.
But my dad was John Cleese. That's who. That would have been.
Oh, from Monty Python.
That
Faulty
would have
Towers.
been.
Oh,
John Cleese would have been
brilliant.
Would have been him.
Oh,
So
wow. All right.
son of a bitch.
I'm calling
Woulda, coulda, shoulda.
I'm calling
but
Les
you didn't.
Oh, he's gone.
Les
oh, well.
Moonbez. So get this, Les Moonbez.
Yes.
Because he was known. Let's be real. He was known as a star fucker. He loved the stars.
Oh, yeah.
As you know. So my show was the only one that was about a nobody all-star cast. Rita Moreno.
He wasn't doing
John Ratzenberger.
He wasn't tapping that.
Julia Duffy. Ann Gilbert.
He wasn't tapping
But
that,
the other 2 shows that they went with, Jason Alexander's Listen Up,
which didn't do well.
didn't do well,
Right.
and Jonathan Goodman's Center of the Universe, which did
didn't
even
do-
worse.
Did worse. Wow,
And
interesting.
I sat next to John Goodman in first class years later.
Big boy back then.
Yeah, and I never. It wasn't his fault, but and I'm like, it was you all along. Do I say something? Yeah. And then both of those tanked.
They tanked. Wow. And Jason Alexander came off of Seinfeld, right?
He was, he was
he
on
was
a roll.
hot.
He was hot, but Listen Up didn't last either.
No.
But if you watch, I want people, if the 3 or 4 people, 1,000 that are listening, go find the pilot.
Yes.
It's 23 minutes because they take out the commercials.
Yes.
And tell me if you don't think it should have been picked up. Because every time I share it with anybody, they're like, yeah, they should have.
Maybe they'll revisit it.
They should have.
I'm sure it's funny.
Well, at this point, I'm not done yet. I
mean, it's something you can maybe take to a Netflix, or I mean, they could revisit it and retool
right?
it.
It's all up. Well, right now, I'm trying to get the social media thing going, because that's how things are moving now.
All right.
You're like, they just want to know how many followers.
How many
you have,
followers?
and then they'll invest. But there's it's all there.
Yep. Okay.
It's all there.
All right. One last question
Tell
for
me.
you. If you had to wear a sign around your neck for the rest of your life, what the heck would it say?
¿Hablas inglés? No. That's silly. In Revenge of the Nerds, I don't know if you are familiar with the. Oh yeah, you're what, 20 something? I'm now looking at the gentleman that's the producer of this whole program.
Yes.
No clue.
He's
Revenge of
very
the
young.
Nerds.
He still has placenta on him. That's how young he is.
Is that afterbirth? Yes.
He keeps licking.
No, it's Brute 35.
He keeps licking his arm. He's cleaning himself off from the womb.
So a funny joke in one of the Revenge of the Nerds 2 or 3 was the guy, the redhead, the idiot.
Yes.
He goes.
Who's what's his name? Timothy.
He turned into a really good actor.
Timothy.
I'm yelling into this mic. I'm so sorry.
Bufford or Busford or something like that.
Whatever, but he's a good actor.
In Field of Dreams.
But yes, he was great in Field of Dreams. I saw that movie recently too.
Yeah.
What a brilliant movie.
Great movie. One of my favorites.
So he's playing the character. They're in Mexico, and he goes to the hotel clerk who only speaks. He goes to the hotel. Hablo inglés? Hablo inglés? And she goes, yes, you speak English? I just thought that killed me. He's like, hablo inglés? Yes, you speak English. And on a high note, we'll
done.
end the show. We're
done, man. Thank you so much for coming on the show. What a great time. Andrew Kennedy, go to find his social media.
Yes, Andrew
Follow
Kennedy
him.
Comic, Instagram.
Stalk him.
And Andrew Kennedy Live is
when
the
you
website.
see him on a cruise ship and you're getting sick,
come say hi.
Vomit
I'll
on
talk
him.
to you. If you got the drink package, Scotch neat. Thank you.
Vomit on him. He would love it. And for all you listening and soon to be watching the show, thank you for tuning in. I'm John Malkin. This is another edition of Sit Down, Stand Up with me, John Malkin, and we are out of here.
Am I coming in clear?
That's a wrap on today's episode of Sit Down, Stand Up with John Malkin. Make sure to follow John on social media at John Malkin Live. See you next time, and don't forget to think while you laugh.